Hello, economics students. I want to go over the production possibilities curve worksheet that you had as homework recently. I'm not going to collect this worksheet. As you know, I'm not in school today, but what I want you to do is hold on to this worksheet and make sure that you understand it, because there will be questions on our first test that deal with the production possibilities curve, and that will actually deal with a lot of the issues and concepts that are discussed on this worksheet. So on this particular production possibilities curve, we had two products. We are producing in this economy either food or weapons of mass destruction. Question number 4 deals with opportunity costs as you increase the production of WMD, or weapons of mass destruction. What happens to the opportunity costs as we continue to increase and produce more and more WMD? Well, the opportunity cost, of course, is going to be the food that we're giving up. We cannot produce more WMD without giving up some food, so that's our opportunity cost. It's food. And let's just take a look. Let's say we're producing currently only food and no WMD. We would be way up here at 140,000 pounds of food. Now, if I want to produce 1,000 weapons of mass destruction, how much food am I giving up? Notice that I'm giving up almost no food to get out here to 1,000. And the reason for that is really quite simple. There's a lot of resources out there that really are not suited to growing food, but they could be used for production of weapons of mass destruction. Think about a desert. A desert's not going to be very productive at producing food, but you could easily put a factory in the desert to produce the WMD. So right now, if we're only producing food, we're really wasting resources, using resources for food that really could be used much more efficiently in another product. So when we decide to add WMD, we can get 1,000 weapons of mass destruction. So we're going to be out here on the curve, and we've really given up almost no food at all. Notice if I were to take a line and carry this line over to the axis that tells us the quantity of food, from 1,000 WMD to that axis on the food line, there's almost nothing that's given up. So the opportunity cost was very, very low. Now, let's say, however, that we wanted to produce that we went from 2,000 weapons of mass destruction to using all of our resources for weapons of mass destruction. In that case, we're still just gaining 1,000 more weapons of mass destruction, but at 2,000 WMD, we're way up here on the production possibilities curve. Okay, and now though, if we go all the way to 3,000 using all of our resources for WMD, look how much food we have to give up. We're giving up, what is this, about 110,000 pounds of food. So when we went from 0 WMD to 1,000, we had to give up almost no food. But to go from 2,000 WMD to 3,000, still it's just an increase of 1,000. You're giving up a whole lot of food. So the key point to learn here is that as you devote more and more resources to a single product, your opportunity cost to do so is going to continue to rise. And that was question number 4. Your opportunity costs will rise because you start to use resources that really are not well suited to that particular product. So make sure you understand that. The next one I want to go over is question number 9. Okay, and we're going to go in question number 9 in some detail here. So here's the production possibilities curve again. And we start off on question number 9 saying that we have 2,000 weapons of mass destruction and 40,000 pounds of food. And that puts us where that blue dot is. Now notice that this dot is on the inside of the production possibilities curve. Remember, the curve itself is where we could produce if we're using all of our resources. Since we are on the inside of the curve, there are resources that we are not using at all. That could be factories that are sitting idle. It could be natural resources that are not being harvested. It could be unemployed workers. But there are some resources that simply are not being used. Now, let's look at how many weapons of mass destruction we have that we could produce if we choose to produce 40,000 pounds of food. That would be the line that you're seeing right here. At 40,000 pounds of food, we could be producing weapons of mass destruction anywhere along that blue line. Okay, but we're not. We're producing at 2,000. In addition, if we should stay at 2,000 pounds of WMD, we could also then produce a whole lot more food, and the second blue line represents all the food that we could produce, additional food we could produce if we stick at 2,000 weapons of mass destruction. Okay, so those two lines, the line on the bottom is the line for WMD, that is potential additional production of WMD at 40,000 pounds of food. And the vertical line is the potential increase in food production if we stay with 2,000 weapons of mass destruction. So, the last part of the question, and this is the part that a lot of students fail to quite grasp, it asks you to shade in all of the possible combinations of additional food or WMD that are possible. Basically, what that shaded in area is going to do is represent the unused resources if we're at 40,000 pounds of food and 2,000 WMD. So the shaded area should look well, basically it should look like what you see here. Your shading might look a little different, but you get the point. These are the unused resources. And I want to make sure that that is clear to you. I want you to be able to graphically illustrate unused resources if we are producing at a point that is inside the curve. And with that, this presentation is over. Again, keep your worksheets, make sure you answer them correctly, and use them to help you prepare for our next test, which check the board and you will see that the date of the test is there, and that date may have changed, I'm not sure. So we'll talk to you later.